Hi YouTube, it's Joe Calton with Calton Cutlery. You can find me on the web, caltoncutlery.com. Today what we're going to do, since I got the GoPro out, we're going to shoot a new video. I did one yesterday on the normal stand that it can sit on, that I can put it in different spots around the workbench while I'm working. This time I've got it mounted to my old hard hat. So I've got it actually synced up with my iPhone right now. Man, I feel really techie being able to do all this kind of stuff, even though I'm sure I'm not doing it all, like perfect. But hey, I can look over here and see what you're seeing, and that's kind of cool. Anyway, so this video is just going to be cleaning up my hunting knife. Yesterday I went out to a buddy of mine's place and picked up a lamb and a pig. Got them hanging in the cooler right now. I'll let them sit there. The pig will probably work up this coming weekend, and the lamb probably let it hang for about 2 weeks before I go ahead and work it up and put it in the freezer. But anyways, so I took my normal hunting knife out because, well, with the pig, things can kind of get a little bit wild sometimes. I mean, usually, well, I've only done it 3 times, but you're taking a 300-pound animal and you're slaughtering it and getting it dressed out and getting it ready to go into the truck so it can come home and eventually end up in the freezer. So I took my hunting knife out with me. Everybody always wants to see what kind of knife a knife maker carries. This is mine. It's I think I made this one about a year ago. It doesn't have a whole lot of time into it. You can tell that by how nice and clean everything looks. I mean, look at that sheath. There's hardly any scratch marks on it. Let me grab my old one. This is my old hunting knife, and you can see the sheath's all scuffed up from rubbing up against rocks or whatever it was I got into. This one, the sheath's quite a bit looser because it's broke in. And you can see the blade. The blade's pretty much just, well, I mean, it's seen use, I mean, I thinned it out a little bit. It's got scratches on it, scratches up in here from striking a ferro rod. The handle's smoothed out. This one, I took this is 52-100 and Bolivian rosewood. And when I finished this one out, I took this handle up to like a 2000 grit finish. And that was one of the things I didn't really care about. It's too slick. The overall profile of the handle tends to lock the handle into your hand, but that really, really smooth finish, it might look real nice, but it doesn't work so good when you're out dressing out an animal. Typically speaking, what you have to do is make a couple of cuts, get some blood on your hand, and then let it tack up a little bit, let it dry out a little bit, and then you can get a really good grip. If you're ever dressing out a really fat deer or something, that fat gets on your hands and on your handle, and the next thing you know, you're having a hard time keeping your grip on it. When that happens, generally, if you find a patch of bare ground, some dirt or some sand, just stick your hand on that. The fat will pick up some dirt and sand onto your hand, and then you usually get a good grip. But anyways, so that's my old hunting knife. It's got a matching ferro rod on it also. So the new one, Forge 52-100. Like I said, the sheath's still a little bit tight, and it's moth season here, or miller season. Forge 52-100, differentially hardened. Got a slight distal taper on the blade. Cocobolo handle. Pretty much just a standard hunting knife, except for this one has got something really cool, and that is I put a copper and nickel silver Mokame guard on it. So that's just pattern welded copper and nickel silver. It kind of looks pretty cool, and I wanted to see how well it would stand up. And the finish on the handle, I took it to a 200 grit finish with the scratches running lengthways, along with the grain, and it is way, way better when your hands get bloody or there's fat on them. It gives you a much better grip. Anyway, so this knife was what I used to do the lamb and the pig with yesterday, or day before yesterday. And so I need to go ahead and clean it up and get it ready for the next time I want to use it. Typically I do that pretty much as soon as I get home, but this camera came in and I got sidetracked on that. So anyway, so we're going to clean this up. I'm going to put you on my head and see if we can shoot some good video of that. Okay, so let's see. I'm looking at the knife right now, so I'm way too high. There we go, that ought to work. Okay, first things first, we're gonna go wash it off. So we come over here to the sink, and boy, let me tell you, if you don't have a sink like this in your shop, get one. They are, install one, they are really, really handy. So I usually just use dishwashing detergent, Dawn, Joy, you know, whatever you got. Get up around the guard and the blade junction, because a lot of times you'll have stuff that likes to stick there. And just wipe it down really good. The dishwashing detergent does a really good job of getting the blood and cutting the fat off of it also. So everything looks pretty good. We'll go ahead and clean it off. Rinse everything down. And towel it off pretty good. I mean, you don't have to like detail it or nothing. So let's see. Now I want to see. I did order a special lens for this camera. It's a 10x that you just clip on to the lens thing so that you can see real close. But I got a magnifying glass here today, so we'll see how that works. So once we've got it all clean, what we're going to do is inspect the edge, and I've got a couple of bright spots, especially up here next to the tip. And probably what that's from is sticking the pig. Oh look, we can get some we're getting some patina coming up there. Hopefully you can see that color change. The blues and the purples, they usually look really, really cool. It's always fun to watch a new blade develop its patina, and they all look different. But anyway, so when you know, so you stun the pig, and then you go ahead and you bleed it or stick it, and when you do that, got a notification on my phone. That's a new one. When you do that, typically you go in too deep, and so when I ran that knife in there, it hit the inside of the spinal column. So let's see. So I don't know if you can see, but there's a couple of bright spots right there up around the point. And then there'll probably be one or two along the edge, you know, where I hit bone, taking the forelegs off or whatever. But I don't feel any burrs. I just feel a couple little bright spots. And it should, oh yeah, it's still taking some hair, but it's not, you know, where I like them to be. So I just got a DMT continuous surface diamond hone here. And we're just going to touch the edge up a little bit. Since most of the edge is pretty good, I'm not going to bother resetting the edge or reshaping it. I'm just going to give it a couple of light licks, and that will clean them bright spots up pretty good. See, we've got everything except for from here up to here is good. Oh, see, it's coming back. It just took part of my thumbprint off. But right up in here, we've got a little bright spot. like I said, hopefully when that that lens comes in, I'll be able to show you some of this stuff. Or what we can do is take the you know, the new fancy microscope and get the TV monitor up here, and then take a look at edges up underneath the microscope. So now I'm just feeling for any slight little burrs right here and taking them off. And then now we should be back to popping hairs off really nice. Anyway, so you wash it down, tune up the edge a little bit if it needs it. And then on this one, this handle is Cocobolo, and Cocobolo is extremely oily. So typically speaking, Cocobolo, you won't really need to add any oil after you're done cleaning everything up. But if you had like hickory or maple, walnut, anything like that, you can just grab some of this wood and bamboo oil. All it is mineral oil, and you can pick it up at Bed Bath & Beyond, Walmart, whatever, and then just put a dollop on the handle, kind of rub it in a little bit, and you can see that handle doesn't look dry anymore. Let's wipe the excess off. Then of course you got mineral oil all over your hands. You can put a little bit on the blade also, but you know, the way I make these sheaths, they're waxed inside and out, and so you know, they do a really good job of protecting the blade, at least in my environment. If you were somewhere where it was really wet, really humid all the time, you might want to keep a thin layer of oil on your blade when you're not using it. So anyway, let me take you off my head here, turn you around. I'm just setting you on top of my, until I find something better, setting you on top of my welding helmet. Yeah, that works out pretty good. I really like this whole hat thing with the camera on there. That's going to come in really nice. Especially when we go to do like real sharpening videos where we're actually, you know, shaping an edge, tuning it up, deciding what angle to sharpen at, you know, and then actually doing the sharpening and testing it out. This is going to be really cool. And also on forging videos, maybe you'll do some with the power hammer, heck, maybe even some grinding videos. You never know, but I think this camera and I are going to get along really good. So anyway, so that's pretty much my routine after a hunt, or any time that you've been out working with your hunting knife. That's pretty much what I do every evening when I get home, you know, just to make sure that it's ready for the next hunt. I remember this knife right here. When I first finished it out, I wanted to see how well it would do. I mean, guys were telling me that you know, they had a hunting knife that, you know, they skinned 4 antelope with, and it was still razor sharp by the time they were done. And so I thought about that, and I was like, huh, okay. So I went a whole hunting season without sharpening this thing. One of the toughest things well, not one of the toughest things I've ever done, but it was pretty tough, you know, because I'm used to taking care of my equipment. So what I'd do was, you know, I'd go hunting and then come home, and then instead of sharpening it, I'd just wash it down, oil the handle if it needed to, put it back in the sheath, and then go out the next time. Well, that hunting season, I want to say, it was me and my daughter hunting that year, and I want to say we got 2 antelope, and of course I dressed everything out because that was one of her first years of hunting. We got 2 antelope, 2 mule deer. I took my boy whitetail hunting, so he picked up 2 whitetail does, my elk, and a buddy's elk, and the edge would still take hair off my arm at the end of the season without touching it to a stone at all that entire time. And you know, that's cool and everything, but man, I just feel like, you know, when I get home, I need to clean the knife, check the edge, give it a couple of licks if it needs it, and then put it back in the sheath. And that way I know that it's going to be, you know, in really good, it'll work the way I need it to the next day. Not that it didn't, it just, in my head, that's what you do. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope the footage comes out good. Hope you enjoyed seeing a couple of knives, and yeah, that's it. Again, this is Joe Calton with Calton Cutlery. You can find me on the web, caltoncutlery.com. Hope you enjoyed the video, and we will see you next time.